Welcome back to It Resolves, where we play a new deck every single day. Today's deck is Mono Blue Research. What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another standard gameplay video. I hope you guys are doing well. It is a pleasure to be back doing this. We have finally gotten back to the grind, and it's a blast, man. I'm really stoked to be back, guys. Today, we are going to be taking a look at a kind of my own take on the Combat Research Mono Blue Tempo deck. And so this is just kind of a throw together for some of the things that I think are really good for the deck, and then maybe we can kind of trim down as we go through the meta and things like that. But for the initial starting point, I think this is a relatively good spot to be. Now, a couple of things that I want to throw out about this deck that I think are very important. The first thing to kind of foundationally build this deck that you need are very cheap but efficient creatures and very evasive creatures. So thankfully, we do have a handful of those in the way of Delver of Secrets, obviously. Being able to flip this turn 1 is probably the best thing that you can do. So if you play this turn 1 and then on your upkeep of turn 2, if you can get it flipped, probably the best turn 1 you can have. We also have Ledger Shredder, which obviously is gonna, if left unanswered, grow throughout the game. It's also gonna dig ourselves further into the deck. We have Storm Chaser Drake, so this becomes the target of a spell you control. You actually get to draw an extra card, which just means you're always gonna be able to replace itself, which is nice. Not always, but hopefully. We do have Spectral Adversary here, just as a 2-of. This is not my favorite for the deck, however, it is a flash flyer for 2 mana that can get stronger, and then on top of that, you can use it as a protection spell as well. If it gets to the late game, it just gives you that out, which I think is really, really helpful. And then my turn 3 of choice is actually the Djinn here. I will go ahead and say I know a lot of people like Tolarian Terror. I do as well, for quite a lot of reasons. However, it is... I don't know, it doesn't cheapen up anything. It's just a capitalization on a lot of the things in your graveyard, which is good, but I'm curious to see how the Djinn stacks up. I don't know which is better, or if you run both, or how that needs to be kind of tailored out. I'm going heavy on the Djinn here for that cheapening aspect. Also the heavier ceiling, because while the Tolarian Terror is a 5/5 with a ward cost, we can get a lot more damage in theoretically with the Djinn. So we'll see if that actually pans out. It may not 100%, but we're gonna try it out. We're just gonna have some fun with it. Now the other foundational piece to this deck is cheap targeting spells. And then kind of good interaction as a bit of a side note. So cheap kind of help out spells. We've obviously got the Combat Research. This is the big one. This is the one you want to get down as early as you can. Start attacking in with those evasive threats. Deal a little bit of damage, but on top of that, just draw cards. If you can get 1 card off of this, you've replaced it. If you can get 2 off of it, you've also replaced the creature. And then anything after that is just added bonus that hopefully will keep you in the game long term. I have Fading Hope and Slip Out the back here, both as full 4-ofs. Fading Hope mainly to get stuff out of the way. Generally speaking, I don't think we'll need too many of these. I think this is one of those where you could probably trim down a good bit. However, it's a really easy way to just tempo swing out the opponent, and I do like that. So I'm gonna give that a shot. It also sets up quite nicely with the Delver because you do generally get a Scry, which is just helpful from the standpoint of, okay, we need to make sure we've got an instant or sorcery on the top of our deck. Slip Out the back, obviously a big protection spell. Get a counter on something, it phases out at instant speed. Very, very helpful. We also have Impulse here. This is going to be our card draw piece. Now, there's a lot of card draw in this deck, but this is just one of them. Definitely a reasonable turn 2 play if we can get there. We do have Make Disappear and Negate for a little bit of permission as well, and that's kind of the whole deck. We do have Otawara Soaring City as a bit of a techie land, but truthfully, most of this is just a 22 land island deck, and that's it. We're pretty straightforward. So hopefully this ends up being a really fun deck. Hopefully this is a good version of the deck, but honestly, I don't know. I've only played 1 game with it. I did win, but we'll see how things pan out, because truthfully, I don't know. I haven't played with this deck in quite some time. So let's have some fun with it, guys. Let's see what we can do. Hopefully this works out pretty well, but hopefully we learn a little bit along the way as well. All right, guys, and here we are for game number 1. This is just about the perfect start, honestly, so I will happily keep this. If we can get that Delver and again flip it, as I said, on turn 2, basically, we've actually got the combat research to go ahead and push forward with it as well, so this really is about as good as we could hope for. Let's go ahead. I think they said hello. They also are... Ooh, okay. Definitely annoying, but not the end of the world. Again, we do have quite a lot of card draw availability here, so we'll see how this goes. All right, so let's do this. I think we will go ahead and just suit up here. They won't be able to block, and so now we are going to kind of force them into a position of having a removal spell. We also really needed an extra land. One thing to note about this is obviously you go pretty heavily on trimming out the lands because you really don't need that many lands. Just in general, you really kind of need, what, 3 max? And so this gives us the opportunity of hopefully saving on lands a little bit, but we do need to draw further into the deck, obviously. So let's go ahead and do this. Awesome. That's not a bad draw. However, it actually doesn't, has absolutely no true relevance at the moment. Let's do this. And let's do this. Let's just kind of throw some things out here. We do get a connive trigger as well, which I do quite like. I think it's going to be an impulse. As much as I really like impulse, we do want to make sure we're getting counters on here. That just allows us to block efficiently, really. And I think we definitely go for the block on the Thalia here. It's just not a card we can really set out. Okay, sure. Decline, obviously. Yeah, so I'm going to combat research here. And we will attack with both of these. I'm okay sacrificing this Delver. Truthfully, it's not really that big of a deal to me. But I would like to make sure we've got as many extra options here as we can get. So let's throw out this Storm Chaser Drake. This is gonna, again, Ledger Shredder up, which is nice. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of that Make Disappear. I don't think we are in a position of needing that at this point. And really, we are just in like, hey, let's block and make sure they can't kill us territory. Sure. Again, that's kind of okay. We've already suited up a good bit here, so I'm not that worried about it. Do we want to kill something, or do we even care? Let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I'm just gonna take it. We're not dead yet, and that's important. So let's go ahead and reveal that. That's fantastic. Let's do this. We do have that Djinn available now, which is great. Let's attack first. I think we just attack with this Delver. I'm not 100% positive on that, I'll be honest, but we'll see. Let's go here. Let's go here. We are just gonna spread out, and there we go. I think that was a definite, an interesting game actually, but very, very good. We were able to spread out the board wide enough that they really couldn't punch through next turn, and then we should have been able to just kind of take down the win. So that was awesome. Very, very well done. Let's jump into game 2. This month's Patreon rewards features the amazing tutor pack with some of the most powerful tutors in Magic's history. If you'd like to learn more or sign up today, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/itresolves. All right, guys, here we are for game number 2. This is a bit of a trickier hand, but I will at least attempt to keep it. The one nice thing we have going for us is that Storm Chaser Drake, so this is going to be able to, if we can keep it, just draw us some cards, which is obviously great, and exactly what we want, so we will see. And we do have the slip out the back as well to kind of help us get there. I'm going to go ahead and throw this out. This is a bit of a risky-ish play from the standpoint of if they had a removal spell, they could have very easily used it, but obviously they chose not to, which is great by us. Awesome. Okay. Very, very awesome. Okay, so let's attack in. There's not a real reason not to attack in yet. The question becomes, do we throw this out and then slip out the back? Or do we Djinn? No, I think we do this. And I am going to go ahead and slip out the back on this. It's a bit of an aggressive play, but I want to get the counters here just to stave off attacks as best we can. I'm going to get rid of one of the negates here. All right. Bit of a risky play, 100%. I don't think this is necessarily correct. Truthfully, it would have made a lot of sense to leave up like a negate or something like that, but I kind of like this play. It's kind of working out okay here. Sure. That's fine. They do get to draw a card, of course. Yep, so we're gonna suit up, draw a card. Ooh, a land. That's actually very good. Awesome. Yeah, so we will attack in. Let's make sure we're working with perfect information from the standpoint of let's draw all the cards we need to draw first, and then we could kind of make plans accordingly, of course. So the trick now is, do we just leave up some options here? I think we do. Not 100% positive. The adversary is the trick, right? Like, I don't know if it's correct to leave that open or kind of just let things ride. Let's go ahead and take some damage. That's fine. They're going to gain 3 back. Doesn't really bother me that much. Let's first... Does this work? Let's see. See how this works. I think this sticks, right? We're doing it this way so we can negate if they do have a kill spell here, just so we're clear. Cool. Yeah, that works. Awesome. Then we'll also just impulse here. I'm kind of just feeling the graveyard for the Jhin at this point. It's kind of the biggest issue for me. Let's look at the battlefield. Okay. I think I'll just take a Drake. All of them are like kind of okay, but sure. All right, so again, we're gonna throw the land out. We are going to attack in here. And we'll see what they do. Hopefully nothing. Technically, we probably should have played the Ledger Shredder first, I guess. That would have probably technically been more correct, but that's okay. Adversary, huh? All right, let's do this. We're gonna give them something to attack through here at the very least, so they will have to have a couple of removal spells. Oh, nice. So they are going to get to exile this. Again, kind of okay at this point. We've gotten our card draw off of it, so like it's not really that big of a concern. I'm going to get rid of the Delver. As much as I like Delver, I don't think this is going to be the game where it's really going to make the most sense to have. So we'll see. I'm curious if they attack with the adversary here. They threw it here. That's interesting. Oh, man. Very good. Very, very good. Okay, well, that's definitely a problem. So we can block here. Yeah, I think that's gonna be what we do. Ooh, that's a lot of damage. Okay. Fair enough. Let's do this. All right, so let's think about this first. I think if we Ledger Shredder, we're then able to potentially get a little added value. Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna end up doing. We'll Storm Chaser Drake. We will, I think, get rid of the negate here. We're not gonna be able to leave it up, really, so. I think it's just land, unfortunately. That kind of sucks. Do we just kill this? Probably, right? I think we kind of have to. We do have the Spectral Adversary to flash in, so we're not just dead. But I do think we kind of have to pull the trigger on getting that Wandering Emperor out of there. Ooh, not so good of a game. Kind of an interesting one though. So previously we were up against the not mono white version of this kind of list, but definitely kind of a similar vibe, where they were basically just trying to play a bunch of, you know, little low ground stuff and hope for the best. I think this is vastly similar, albeit probably a lot more focused, as you can tell. And so It's fair enough that we're just gonna probably lose here, but what an interesting couple of matches together. Like, that's kind of fascinating to me. Just because they're similar decks, that's all, but just interesting, sure. So they are gonna exile a couple things. We'll see what we draw here, but truthfully, there's not a lot we can get away with at this point. A Djinn is nice, but I think just too little too late, honestly. Let's go ahead and Impulse. We do get to Ledger Shredder here, which might be good, but yeah. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and concede. They definitely have us here. But that's okay. That was an interesting matchup, actually, and I do think that's one that you have to consider, so we have some learning to do. But that is okay. Let's go ahead and jump into game 3. All right, guys, here we are for game number 3. Definitely not that great of a hand here. Kind of a little heavy here on just, like, kind of non-bo stuff at the moment. I'm gonna mulligan. That was a bit of a risky mulligan, but I think it was the right call. I think it's negate. Not 100% sure on that, but we're gonna try this. Hopefully this flips. That would be awesome. Please don't kill it. Oh. Oh no, okay, well, that sucks. That really, really sucks. I don't think we can risk throwing this out there. I mean, we could try and trade off, but like, I feel like that's not worth it, so I'm just gonna pass. I think generally I could have attacked in there if I was trying to be aggressive, without the combat research, to be clear, just so we don't lose it, but I think the move on the opponent's end would have been, if we had just attacked in, they would have just let 1 damage through. I think if they, that's fine. If we had put the combat research on it, oh, come on, really? Just getting kind of stuck here. If we had put the combat research on, my assumption is they would have probably gone for the block there just to trade off and then not have to worry about it again, which is fair, 100%. So we kind of just need to get like a little lucky off the top here. Kind of had bad luck off the first 2 flips, but that's okay. They do have to consider now, you know, they've got 2 relatively important things on the battlefield on our side. So like from the perspective of the opponent, the Djinn is a very powerful long-term game plan. The Delver is also quite good and quite powerful, but at the moment is not as big of a like long-term threat, I suppose. However, I mean, we also just don't have anything in the graveyard, so the Djinn really isn't that helpful. It does kind of counteract a little bit the Thalia though, which is kind of nice. So that was great. That was really, really good. We needed that desperately. All right, let's do this. They can block this. I don't particularly care if they do. Excellent. So this does give us that card draw opportunity, which is important. I did not play the other combat research for a couple of reasons. One, I kind of want to be able to impulse at instant speed and just be able to kind of snap block something if we need to. I don't know that we will, but it could definitely be a game changer to power this up by 1 and be able to block like a Thalia as an example. These guys I don't think are all that good. Ooh. Well, that is good, because they will be able to tap the Djinn here. Really interesting little game plan that they've got going on. I don't know how much I like it. What do we want? I guess it's just Fading Hope for the like tricksiness of it. We kind of need to get some stuff into the graveyard to get this Djinn going too, so okay, yeah. I mean, they're dealing quite a bit of damage, which is definitely not ideal. Let's go ahead and do this. We are going to continue the onslaught with the Delver, but now we actually get to draw 2 cards, which is great. We need all the card draw we can get. And hopefully they don't get more network disruptors, because I think if they don't have those, they're, oh my gosh, seriously? They might get a little bit stuck here. We'll see. I'm kind of curious. Okay. Let's see what they attack with. Please attack with Thalia. Just this. Okay. And this. That's fine. Yeah, so what we are gonna do is throw that back. Storm Chaser Drake. Actually, yes. From the standpoint of we kind of just need a bunch of creatures. And I'll snap block that just to save them max damage and kind of force them into a position of they've got a little bit less on the field. I don't know, we'll see. Not overly optimistic, but this is actually kind of a cool deck. Like this little Esper sort of artifact-y deck. I don't, it's got like a sub-theme of artifacts maybe? I'm not sure. All right, we'll go ahead and throw this out. Let's make sure, again, let's work with perfect information. If they decide to block, that's fine. It's annoying, it's fine though. They could double block, which I'm a little surprised they don't, from the perspective of like, they would get rid of the Delver and these seem less impactful. Now they can pull this back though. Oh no, well, if they get another missionary, I suppose they could, but that would be it. Okay. Yep. So on target creature you control. Okay, I don't want to give them that. Let's see, we're gonna take 4 here, which sucks, but yeah. All right. We need to draw a non-land card, like badly. Oh, come on, really? That's fascinating. All right, so we're basically dead no matter what. That sucks. That was just really unlucky. I can't believe we've gotten 6, 7, 8, 9 lands in a 22 land deck. That is crazy. Sure. I mean, we're not 100% dead, but well, maybe we are actually. I don't know. We can only block 2 things and they do have a tenacious underdog. So I mean, I don't think there's anything we can do. We do have 7 mana open, so they do have to consider the fact that we probably have something in our hand, but the reality is we don't. Which sucks, but like, you know, it is what it is. Maybe we could skimp down to even 21 lands? Okay, yeah, they definitely just kill us. All right, man, that was a rough one. Very flooded, but you know, it happens. So let's go ahead, let's wrap this one up. All right, guys, so my version of mono blue combat research, how do we feel about it? It's a good question. When it works, obviously it's pretty good. And truthfully, like even in that last game, we were drawing quite a number of extra cards off of that Delver. And with 2 combat researches suited up there, I was feeling relatively good about being able to draw something. We just got flooded. So the question comes up, do we have too many lands, which I think is a reasonable question to ask. 22 for a deck that, excuse me, tops out around 3 mana. I don't know. I could trim a little bit, I feel like. From the perspective of also, we are running the Djinns, so like a lot of our instants and sorcery stuff, they're all gonna get kind of cheapened up a little bit, and a lot of our deck is at 1. So I definitely understand maybe we could go down to 21, maybe even 20 lands. I don't know that I'd go lower than 20, but let me know your thoughts, because I would be curious to know there. I definitely think you can go low. As far as the Djinn goes, I think that was the better call than the Tolarian Terror, although we did see some issues where it's easier to remove, of course. And so I think from that perspective, maybe the Tolarian Terror is still a good option. I'd be very curious to try it. As far as the rest of the deck, I think it was fine. I think we could have made a higher density of instants and sorceries to more reliably flip the Delver, and maybe that comes as well with lowering those land counts and then adding in some of those instants and sorceries. So that might just be something that kind of naturally gets solved, but we did see the Delver just sit there for a couple turns, especially in that last game, and you know, obviously that's not what you want. But all in all, I do really like this deck. I think this is a fun one. It plays very much a play style that I really enjoy. If this isn't your kind of thing, totally get it. I don't think this deck is for every play style. If you're kind of the really hyper aggressive deck, I don't think this is for you, or that play style is for you. I don't know that this one is, and that's okay. I think that's fine. Regardless, it's a fun deck, so definitely give it a shot. Let me know your thoughts too. I'd be curious to kind of revisit this one later on. I intentionally did not look at too many other deck lists when actually building this one, so this is truthfully just sort of where I thought it could go. But all in all, it was really fun. So thank you guys very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned tomorrow. We will have a collection update video. Finally, we are back. And a little bit of a new twist on that. So I encourage you guys to check that out and participate. You'll see what I mean. But I love you guys very much. I'll see you guys tomorrow.